Please wait for 5 minutes. I'll start the session soon. Okay. Let people join. Hello. Hello everyone, welcome again to the certification course of Java programming in live session of Java code programming. Okay, and this is our fourth session of Java. Okay, so last three session we discussed so many concepts. Okay, we discussed about the concept of why Java is a freeware. Okay, so it was actually a definition of Java that we discussed, like Java is a freeware, open source, object oriented, platform independent language. So among these four important part, okay, we already discussed like what is a freeware, why Java is called a freeware language. Okay, then we discussed about what is the meaning of open source, one of the again important concept of Java. Java is an open source language. Okay, then we discussed in very detailed manner like what is object oriented programming. Okay, you know, object, even in the last video I told you that object oriented is the key feature of Java, like polymorphism, encapsulation, inheritance. The structure of Java is based on inheritance. That what we discussed in the last time, right? The Java structure is based on inheritance, right? So what is object oriented programming? What is polymorphism? What is encapsulation? What is data hiding? Okay, inheritance is a relation, has a relation, types of inheritance, and among all the types of inheritance, how many types of inheritance supported by Java? That all concept we discussed in the last time. Okay, and I hope you have watched the last video, because that was the most important part, object oriented concept. Okay, there are so many questions in Java interview related with object oriented programming, like types of inheritance. Okay, what is the difference between inheritance in C++ and inheritance in Java? Okay, how we achieve multiple inheritance in Java using interface. Okay, that's what we discussed in the last time, right? So now in this session we are going to discuss the most important topic, platform independency. Okay, what is platform independency? Why Java is called platform independent language? You know, Java is well known in the market for exactly Java came in the market because of this reason, platform independency, write once, run anywhere. Okay, so what does it means, like what is platform independency? Why Java is called platform independent language? Okay, that all concept we are going to discuss in this session, right? So please be focused, because it's a most important question in topmost MNCs, even in any company. If you are appearing in Java interview, definitely they will ask you like why Java is a platform independent language, and then why C and C++ are called platform dependent language. Okay, so before moving to Java platform independency concept, let me show you like why the languages like C, C++, Visual Basic, they are called platform dependent language, and what exactly the meaning of platform independency. Okay, that is the most important thing you must know. Okay, like why we say that Java is a platform independent language and C are platform dependent language. So see this one. Like there are multiple operating systems are there. You know, there are a lot of operating systems are exist. Like we have a Windows operating system. Okay, apart from Windows, we have a Linux operating system. Okay, Mac OS there. Mac OS, okay, IBM mainframe is there. There are a lot of operating systems are there. Okay, so please be focused on this execution of C and C++ program. Okay, see, to it is not required to learn Java exactly. C and C++ is not exactly the prerequisition, but yes, at least you should know that where you have a knowledge of C and C++ or not, that is a secondary matter, right? But at least being a Java developer, you must know why C and C++ and other languages are platform dependent and why Java is a platform independent language. Because I'll show you the detailed manner, like we are going to discuss the architecture of JVM, we are going to discuss the architecture of JRE, what is the difference between JDK, JRE, JVM, that all concept related with the Java platform independency I'll explain you. But before that, before coming to the Java platform independency concept, let me show you like once we write a program of C and C++, then what is the step we need to follow? Okay, so in first step we have to write a source code. Okay, in first step, being a developer, okay, being a programmer, we have to write a source code. Okay, and you know the extension of source code file in C and C++ is either .c or .cpp. Right. So in first step we have to write, like if you are working in Windows operating system, so in first step we have to write a source code of C and C++ program in that particular operating system where we are working, right? So right now suppose we are working in Windows, so we must write source code. After this source code, the next step we need to compile this source code. The next step is compilation. We need to compile this source code, right? And this compilation task done by a compiler. You know, every language is having their own compiler, like C and C++ is having their compiler, like Visual Basic is having their compiler, okay, like C# is having their own compiler, Java is also having a compiler, right? So there are two translator exactly, compiler as well as interpreter. I'll discuss this thing even in upcoming session, don't worry, the difference between compiler and interpreter, right? But this time please try to understand, like suppose in C and C++, if you are working in Windows operating system, so in first step you have to write a source code of C and C++. Then in second step you need to compile this source code, right? After compilation, this complete source code will going to be convert into a code which is called machine code. Okay, after compilation, this complete source code will going to be convert into a machine code, and this machine code is also stored in a file which is called obj file, object file, right? So please try to understand the step of execution of a C and C++ program. Like from source code to exe file, how many, because you know if you are a C and C++ developer, then there is a very frequently asked question of interview, how many files creates once we write a C and C++ program, right? So no doubt if you are a Java developer, okay, if you know the C and C++ concept, then it is okay. If you don't know, it is not required for this course, okay? But please try to understand like why C and C++ are platform dependent. So in first step, we need to write source code. This source code must be required compilation. After compilation, this complete source code will convert into a machine code. That is what the major reason why this language is a platform dependent language. Because you know once this, okay, let me finish this execution. After completion of this machine code, in next step, we have to run this program, right? We need to run this program, okay. So in next step, the next step is what? We have to run this code. Once we run this code, this complete code is exactly created a file. Okay, now we'll get exactly an output. After run, we'll get output of the program, right? So first step, we need to write source code. This source code must require compilation. After compilation, your complete source code converts into a machine code, right? And then after, once you run your code, that code will generate an output. Okay, and this complete output is stored in a file which is called an exe file. executable file, right? So even in first day I told you that if a language creates an exe file, that is a machine dependent language. If any language like C creates an exe file, it is a machine dependent language. If C++ creates an exe file, it is a machine dependent language. If Visual Basic creates an exe file, it is a machine dependent language. Because any language which is platform independent, machine independent, operating system independent, right, they never creates an exe file. They never creates an exe file. Like Java never creates exe file, Python never creates exe file, right? So this is the execution of C and C++ program. In first step, we have to write a source code. The source code is stored in a file which is .c or .cpp file. Second step, this source code must require compilation. So after compilation, this complete source code converted into machine code, which is an OBJ file. And the next step, once we run this code, it creates an exe file, which is an output file. And everywhere where you want to run this output of this program, you have to carry this exe file. Okay, now this is what exactly the reason why this language is machine dependent language, because this complete source code directly converted into a machine code. And once your language converts any source code into a machine code, that machine code is actually related with the specific operating system, because every operating system is having their different architecture. Like every mobile is having a different architecture. Like that's why the reason the APK file which you downloaded from Android Play Store, you are not able to use that APK file in iOS mobile, because both the operating system is having a different architecture. So for iOS, you need to install a different file. For Android, you need to require different file, because both the files is having a different architecture. Got it? So this is what exactly the concept. Like once this machine code is converted, this is a machine dependent. Like this exe file is generated by this machine code. Got it? So this machine code is a machine dependent code because you run this program in Windows operating system. Now the next question comes in mind, sir, why this machine code is machine dependent? Because there are lot of files required by this compiler to generate this machine code, and these files are actually called DLL file, document linking and library files. Please listen it very carefully, right? When any compiler converts a source code into a machine code directly, if it is a directly conversion, then definitely this machine code requires lot of DLL file, document linking and library files, right? So this DLL file actually provided by operating system to a compiler. Okay, so this DLL file exactly not having by a compiler, right? Compiler actually use the DLL file of a particular operating system. So in this case, this DLL file actually provided by Windows operating system. Okay, and then with the help of this DLL file, this machine code is generated. So once this machine code is generated, the major role played by this DLL file of Windows operating system, definitely, because this DLL file is the part of this machine code. So obvious the exe files once create using this machine code, that is a machine dependent, that is a platform dependent. Because to run this exe file in any operating system, you require this DLL file, while this DLL file is only available in Windows operating system. So if you try to run this exe file, okay, this exe file in Linux operating system, what do you think? Will it be work? Not, definitely not. This exe file will not execute by Linux operating system, because Linux operating system don't have these DLL files. If you try to run this exe file in Mac OS, it will not possible to execute by Mac operating system. Okay, because that Mac operating system is having a different architecture. I'll show you the best example. Once we write a C and C++ program, so in first line, this first line of C and C++ program, like hash include stdio.h, hash include conio.h. Okay, I'm not going to write the complete code. Anyone please suggest me, if you are having a knowledge of C and C++, why we use this statement? Why we use this statement? Okay, you are going, once we write a C and C++ program, then we use like hash include stdio.h, hash include conio.h. Anyone please suggest me what exactly this stdio.h and conio.h is? We use this stdio.h and conio.h file for using a functions of this file. These are called header files, right? This stdio.h and conio.h is exactly called an header file, right? So you know one in the most important concept, right? This header file, you know, this hash statement. Once we use hash statement in C for any command, this is called preprocessor directive. Preprocessor directive, right? These are called preprocessor directive. The commands starts with hash sign, hash include. There are a lot of commands like hash include. Okay, the next command is hash define. Okay, the next command is hash undiff. There are a lot of command in C and C++ which we starts with this hash, hash include, hash define, hash undiff, hash if, hash else. The most important concept about the command starts with hash sign. These are called preprocessor. Preprocessor command. The command who executes before the main process. Because you know the main in C executed by compiler. But this command executed by operating system. The commands starts with hash are called preprocessor directive. So this command executed by operating system, not by the compiler. Please listen it very carefully. So at first line indicates that this is a machine dependent language. Because this command executed by operating system, not by the compiler, right? So in C and C++, once we write a code, okay, this code exactly firstly converted into a machine code, and that is what the major reason why this language is a machine dependent language. So see, you are not going to say like, we are not going to say this is a disadvantage of C and C++. No. It is not disadvantage, because the C and C++ exactly need and that era for this purpose only. See, platform independency required in the in year of 1990s, 1995, right? Where actually the developer wants to develop web application. Earlier days when C was the language developed in 1972, that was requirement was different. That time a language required by which it is possible that you design an operating system, by which they required a language by which it is possible that compiler designing is possible, the compiler must be designed. So see, C and C++ are platform dependent. That is not disadvantage. Actually, these languages are developed because of some different reason, not for web application. Got my point? So why C and C++ is platform dependent language? I hope you understood now. So it is not possible that we use this exe file in different operating system. But that time actually people's required a language whose converted code can be easily used in every operating system. Converted code. See, if the next question comes in mind, sir, if I want to run the same program in Linux or Mac OS in another operating system, what then we need to do? You have to recompile this program. You have to put this source code here. Again, you have to recompile this. Okay, everywhere you have to use this source code. So once I use this source code, like suppose the same program I need to execute in Linux. So we have to use the source code. This source code again compiled by compiler, okay, but this time this source code converted into a machine code. So this machine code is actually based on Linux operating system. So in that way you are able to run this program in multiple machines, but that is not requirement in that era, right? Actually we required that time the people required a language, okay, where once we convert a code, okay, that converted code must be executed in every operating system, and that's the reason why the people think about Java. Okay, later actually Java name given some different reason. Okay, so I'll explain you about why the history of Java also in later on. But till now I hope you understood. I hope you understood like why C and C++ are called platform dependent language, because again this is the most important question very frequently asked in topmost MNCs if you have a background of C and C++. Because C and C++ program requires DLL file, and this machine code is based on this DLL file. Okay, so DLL file provided by operating system to compiler, right? And that's the reason this machine code is platform dependent. So if you have any doubt, please make it in comment. Okay, and if you understood all the things, okay, then please type yes. Okay sir, please go ahead. Okay, so if you have any doubt, I'll wait for a minute. Please type it. Okay, so no doubt, I hope you understood all the concept, right? So this is what platform dependency. Okay, now let me show you the same means. Now please be focused. Again, we have a different operating system. Okay, like we have a Windows operating system, we have a Linux operating system. Okay, apart from Linux, we have a Unix, even Mac OS. Okay, and there are different lots of operating systems are there. Okay, so now let me show you how Java code is executed, right? Means the same process. Okay, so once we write it's a very basic architecture. Later on I'll explain you the detailed architecture of JRE, JVM. Okay, but this time how Java is a platform independent language, right? So please be focused on this. Okay, so now once if we write a Java program, again we need to write a source code. Okay, so for Java application, again we need to write a source code, but the extension of Java program was .java. You know, Java was the first language, compiled language whose extension was in 4 characters. Earlier days, the languages which came in the market like C, the extension is .c, 1 character, .cpp, 3 character, .vbp, Visual Basic, 3 character. Okay, so earlier days what languages came in the market, compiled the language that they are having extension of 3 character, but Java was the first language, okay, whose extension was in 4 character like .java, right? So once we write a source code of Java, suppose in Windows operating system, so again the same process, we need to compile this source code. So Java is having their own compiler, because you know every language is having their own compiler. So once this source code is ready, okay, this source code must require a compilation. So this source code compiled by, okay, this required a compilation. So this source code compiled by Java compiler. But the best part is that once Java source code is compiled, it will not directly converted into machine code. This source code converts into an intermediate code which is called a bytecode. And the extension of this bytecode is .class. Okay, so Java creates only 2 files, .java which contains source code and .class which contains bytecode. Java never creates exe file. Always remember this thing, right? Because Java is a platform independent language, right? So this bytecode is an intermediate code. It's an hexadecimal format. It's an intermediate code. It is not source code. It is not machine code. So yet machine code is not converted. Why the previous language is a platform dependent? Because they directly converted this source code into a machine code. So the machine dependency comes here only, right? So it is not possible the next file which is converted will be run on every operating system, because this exe file generated by this machine code, right? But in the case of Java, Java never creates any another file. After compilation, okay, Java actually creates a file which is a .class file, okay, and this .class file content bytecode, but sir, still machine code is not converted. So how will get the output? Okay, so now to run this bytecode in every operating system, now listen it very carefully. To run this bytecode in every operating system, here Java required another converter, right? So that converter is JVM. that converter is a JVM. Okay, the responsibility of JVM is to convert this byte code into machine code and display the output. So if JVM is available on every operating system, easily this byte code will execute on every operating system, right? In this case, now the next step is what? This byte code will be provided to JVM. Okay, so the task of JVM is what? Convert this byte code into machine code and given me an output. So JVM is the responsibility of conversion of a byte code into a machine code is by JVM. So JVM converted into a machine code. Okay, but this machine code will not stored in any file. It will directly give me output. So this is how we say that Java is exactly platform dependent language. Why? Because this JVM, if this JVM is available in every operating system, again here the question comes in mind, sir, if there is no JVM in operating system, then what? Okay, so I'll explain you. That concept is also, I'll explain you. Don't worry about this, but please try to understand the execution of Java program. First, we need to write a source code. The extension of source code of a Java program is a .java file. This .java file first required a compilation. So like every language, Java is also having their own compiler. Okay. After compilation, this complete source code converts into byte code, which is machine independent code. It is an intermediate code. Okay. It is a layer between operating system and your program, right? It's a layer. Okay, I'll explain this thing, don't worry about it. So this byte code then converted by JVM into a machine code and display the output. So here major role played by this JVM. So now tell me, if I run the same Java program in different operating system, which file I need to carry? .java file or .class file? If I run the same program in Linux operating system, Mac OS, in any another operating system, and consider JVM is available in every operating system, so which file I need to carry? It required .java file or it required .class file? I want answer from your side. Okay. It's a .class file. Okay, only you need to carry this .class file, right? So once this .class file is available in Linux operating system, the Linux operating system JVM, okay, actually converted this .class file into a machine code. This machine code is now dependent. Okay, this machine code is obvious. Every machine code is different, right? Because this machine code is based on Windows operating system. This machine code is based on Linux operating system, right? So see, to run the Java program, we required a JVM. So the task of JVM is what? The task of JVM is to convert a machine code which is a machine dependent, right, which is actually based on operating system, you can say that, right? So this machine code generated by JVM, which is available on Linux, so it converted this machine code which is understandable by Linux operating system. If the same program I need to run in Mac OS, again if JVM is there, only we need to use this .class file. Okay, so this .class file again provided to JVM, which is available on Mac OS, so it will convert this file into again machine code, but this machine code is based on Mac operating system. So in this way we can run the Java program in every operating system. So JVM is one of the part of JRE. You know, JRE is Java Runtime Environment, and JVM is one of the part of JRE. I'll show you the explanation of complete architecture. Just wait. Okay, I'll show you the complete architecture of JRE, JVM and everything, right? But let me show you like exactly how Java runs on every operating system. I'll show you in a very in the next diagram. Just wait. Okay, but I hope you understood like how Java program is executed, what is source code, what is byte code, okay, then how this JVM plays an important role among this. Okay, so no doubt the next question comes in mind, sir, to run the Java program in every machine, this all machines require JVM? Yes. These all machines required JVM. Okay, so that's why the reason when Java came in the market in 1995, the Java developer requested to every operating system like, please provide this JVM with your operating system. Actually, they requested like, please provide JVM with every operating system so that Java program will able to run on every operating system. Okay, you know, now how it is possible that JVM is available with every operating system? So, you know, once you installed operating system, there are a lot of software freely installed in your machine. Like many of you install Windows operating system, right? So with Windows, there are a lot of operating systems with Windows, there are a lot of another software must be installed like Notepad, calculator. So this all software installed with Windows. Okay, means window carry a lot of softwares. Okay, like there are a lot of software which installed with Windows operating system. So exactly the people of Java, they requested to every operating system companies like, okay, please provide this JVM with your operating system. But the interesting fact is that actually Microsoft denied this. In earlier days, Microsoft denies this. So still, even in 95 version, when Windows 95, still Java program is not run. Okay, it's quite difficult to find the Windows 95 operating system nowadays, right? But yes, earlier days when Java came in the market and when they requested to every operating system, they all came in support, but Windows deny. Okay, due to some policy, maybe the reason, right? So now still in Windows 95 operating system, Java program is not yet run. Okay, that was the history actually, right? Later on they supported, and now Java is capable to run in every operating system. But yes, if you run this Java program in multiple operating system, this all operating system must require JVM. Now let me show you like what exactly the scenario in that time when Java actually used for web development, right? Now watch it very carefully, and then I'll come to the next concept like, okay, architecture of JRE and JVM. Okay, so you know, if the developer want to develop dynamic website, you know what is a dynamic website? A combination of HTML, okay, a combination of HTML and one language, one compiled language. Combination of HTML and one compiled language means what? Okay, see, HTML actually used for web application development. With the use of HTML, we can simply design a website. But you know, in earlier lecture, I told you that with the use of HTML, you are able to design a website. You are not able to do any programming because HTML is not a compiled language. Okay, so to make this application dynamic, okay, only HTML created a static website. With the help of HTML, you are able to create a static website only, right? So to make this website dynamic means if you want data interaction, if you want to write a code, okay, programming code in this website, you have to attach one compiled language, one language in which compilation is possible, right? So with this HTML, you can simply use Java. How it is possible that with HTML we use this Java? Because you know, Java creates a file which is machine independent file, right? So first dynamic web application is a combination of HTML and .class file of Java, right? So in .html, actually they wrote a code which is based on designing purpose, right? They written a code which is based on designing purpose, and second file is .class file, right? So the combination of .html and .class file create a dynamic web application. It was you can say that it was an invention of a dynamic web application, right? So once they uploaded this website on server, you know, every website is available on server. I'm talking about in 1995 era, right? So they created first dynamic web application which is a combination of HTML and .class file. Now to use this website, suppose this is any name of this website like xyz.com. Okay, so if any person want to use this website and they are having different operating system like Windows, okay, some people is having Linux operating system, okay, some people is having Mac operating system, because people is having a different, it may be possible that people is having a different operating system, right? So if Windows person want to use this website, Linux person want to access this website from server, Mac OS person want to access this website from server, you know, HTML will not create any problem. Because HTML code executed by the browser machine of a client machine. Browser machine of a client system, right? So once you access this website, the HTML code executed by browser, okay, executed by browser, because you know every website we must open on browser only, right? So this HTML code executed by browser. So it is possible that HTML code will view me or give me a proper result in every operating system. Because HTML code executed by the browser machine. In the day one, I told you this concept also in my first lecture, right? So HTML code executed by browser, that is not a problem, right? But this dot class file required for execution on every operating system. So now this every operating system is having JVM, okay. So now it is possible that this dot class file is executed on every machine. So this, because now this all machines included JVM. So this was the first dynamic web application created by a developer. HTML code executed by browser and dot class file executed by JVM. So JVM must required by all this operating system, right? So this application, exactly the combination of .html and .class file, once these two files combined, this application created by Java, which was called applet application. This was called applet, the first Java program which runs on browser exactly. This question may be asked in sometimes, right? Which Java program display, in earlier days, which Java program actually display output on a browser? That was an applet. So applet is what? Combination of .html and .class file. HTML and .class file combination, that was an applet application, right? So this applet, you know, when applet came in the market, even one problem came with this applet, right? Applet is platform dependent or not? Okay, is applet platform dependent? If someone will ask you, okay, if applet is a platform dependent, no doubt, applet is not platform dependent because this .class file executed on every operating system. Okay, and applet was the first Java application who runs on browser, right? So we cannot say that applet is a platform dependent because every operating system executed this applet, but the problem is that applet executed by client machine. So, okay, tell me one thing. What do you think? HTML is a client-side language or a server-side language? See, client-side language is called a language whose code executed by client machine. Okay, and server-side language are those type of language which is executed by server machine. Okay, so what do you think? HTML is a client side or server side? I need this answer from your side. HTML is a client side or server side? HTML is a client-side language. It is not server-side because HTML code executed by client machine. Client machine browser executed this HTML code, right? So it is a client-side language, right? So now tell me, this dot class file executed by JVM of client machine. So this dot class file is a client-side or server-side? This dot class file is a client-side language technology or server-side technology? This dot class file executed by JVM. JVM is available on operating system of every machine. So is it a client side or server side? Again, this applet is a client side technology. Why it is a client side, boss? This applet executed by client machine browser, right? This JVM is responsible to execute this applet, and JVM is available on client machine, not into the server machine, right? So this applet is having a dependency. Like suppose this is this one is an operating system. This operating system is having a browser, okay? But this operating system is having a browser, okay? But this operating system not having JVM. So is this .class file executed in this machine? No. .html file definitely runs perfectly, right? Because HTML file executed by browser. Okay, but if no JVM is available in this machine, suppose this is an XYZ machine, okay, XYZ operating system. Okay, so if this machine or this operating system don't have JVM, this .class file never execute. So it is a client-side application. No doubt that time we say that Java is a platform independent language, right? But exactly Java required JVM on every machine. If JVM is there, Java runs in every platform. But if JVM is not there, you are not able to run the Java program. So to run the Java program in every operating system, we required JVM. Okay, like there are a lot of things which executed on browser machine, on client machine. Let me show you like what is client-side dependency. Suppose you downloaded any PDF file. Okay, and now there is no Adobe Reader in your machine. So is it possible that you are able to access this, you are able to open this PDF file? Or suppose you downloaded any Word file. Okay, I'm not going to tell you like you're directly open in like a web-based application or something, right? Suppose you downloaded any file and your internet connection is off. You downloaded Word file, you downloaded PDF file, you downloaded Excel file, and your internet connection is off, and you don't have any Word, Excel, PowerPoint application in your machine. You don't have Adobe Reader in your machine. So will it be possible that you are going to use these files which you downloaded? Yes or no? Definitely not, because if you don't have this file, okay, if you don't have this software like Word, Excel, PowerPoint or Adobe Reader, how it is possible that you open this file? That means you are dependent on client machine. It's the same type of concept applicable with this applet. Applet is a client-side technology. Applet executed by client machine JVM. So if there is no JVM in machine, this applet will not able to view their output in that particular machine where JVM is not available. So if there is a JVM in browser, yes, definitely this website views, this website give a proper view. If this machine is having JVM plus browser, definitely this website give a proper view. But if this machine having a browser but don't having a JVM, you are able to access the HTML file, but you are not able to access this .class file. That is what dependency. So Java people realize that, okay, this is the dependency with this applet, right? So very soon they converted this applet into another type of technology, another type of concept. So there will be no dependency on client machine. They converted this applet into servlet. They converted this applet into servlet. One of the most important topic of advanced Java, servlet, right? So we say that applet is a client-side technology. You know what is the full form of servlet? Server-side applet. Servlet is actually called server-side applet. And an applet was executed by server machine, not by the client machine. So once this servlet came in the market, there is no dependency of JVM on every operating system, because now servlet executed by this machine, which is a server machine. So whatever requirement needed for this application, that will be available on server like JVM and everything. Okay, so servlet is one of the fantastic technology given by Java, which is who replaced this applet. So this is the most important interview question also, right? What is the difference between applet and servlet? So applet is a client-side technology. Applet executed by client machine. The client machine JVM is responsible to execute applet, while servlet executed by server machine. So Java changed this scenario, like, okay, and that's for the reason no one use applet right now. Applet is not a part of Java, okay, because most of the means in every application we use servlet. So servlet means what? Server side applet. The program of Java who executed by server machine. So now if I need to develop any dynamic web application, I'll go with this servlet, JSP, Java Server Pages. So Java given a technology who executed on server side. Java Server Pages, JSP, server side applet, servlet. Okay, so this was the technology revolution. Okay, this was the changes of technology. Now Java changes even servlet 4 times. Servlet, HTTP, servlet, and so many things. So I hope with this example now you are able to understand like how Java is a platform independent language. Okay, earlier days it was based on operating system, right? Earlier days there is a dependency, like if JVM is available in every machine, then only Java program is executed. But nowadays that dependency is not there, right? Because now the application is based on server. So this is what exactly the concept, like why we say that Java is a platform independent language. Okay, so I hope now you understand this concept. Okay, now let me show you, like, see sir, what exactly JVM, JRE, suppose, see this one, I'll show you, like suppose this is another, okay, again the same example, like we have a Windows operating system, and in this Windows operating system there is a concept called JRE. JRE is what? Java Runtime Environment. This JRE is having multiple parts. Okay, I'll explain you the detailed architecture of JRE. Among this all, there is a one part which is called JVM. So JVM is a part of JRE. JRE is a Java Runtime Environment, right? The environment of means the environment which needed by Java program for an execution. So if this environment is available in Windows operating system, if the same environment is available in Linux operating system, if the same environment is available in Mac OS, right? This all operating system means whatever the file need Java program, okay, that will be available in this environment. Okay, suppose JRE is an environment and the same environment in this machine, right? Okay, JRE, and JVM is one of the part of this JRE. JVM is a part of this JRE, right? So, Java runtime environment means what? An environment where Java program executes, right? So, if this dot class file need for an execution, this dot class file required this environment, right? So, if the common environment is available in every machine, why Java is not execute? Because Java required this environment. There is no dependency on operating system. Java not required any file from operating system. Whatever the file required by a Java program, that will be available in this environment. Okay, and if this environment is common in all the machine, so definitely Java program executes in all the machines. Okay, and that program will give me a proper result. Right, so that's the scenario, like that was the concept, like how we say that Java is a platform independent language. So always remember, Java creates only two files, .java file and .class file. Okay, now let me show you. Okay, see, means before going to the detailed architecture of this JRE and JVM, first you need to understand all this small concept. Like what is JRE, what is JVM, what is JDK, okay, how Java program is execute. Okay, so I hope till now you have a clear clarity. If you have any doubt, okay, let me take a break of 5 minutes and I'll cover all your doubts, all your questions. So if you have any doubt, please type in comment box. Okay, so I'll check this and I'll answer it. Okay. Hello. Okay, so let's continue the next step. Okay, the next one is what? See this diagram again. Okay, in Java, the code translation is done twice. First step, when Java source code compiles, it converts into a bytecode and created a .class file. And second, when .class file executed by this JVM, it creates a output file, right? So Java is a language whose code means that time Java was the first language whose code translated twice. Okay, so first step, please try to understand, this is again a most important question of interview. Okay, in first step, when Java source code converts into a bytecode, it required a compilation, and this task done by a compiler. Okay, this task done by compiler, right? Okay, let me create another file. Okay, so first we need to write source code of Java file. Okay, this source code, the extension of this source code is .java. In the next step, we need to convert this source code into a machine code, and that task is called compilation. Okay, so once this compilation is done, your complete source code converted into bytecode. Okay, and once this bytecode is converted, okay, which is a .class file. Okay, we need to provide this bytecode to JVM, and JVM is responsible to convert this bytecode into a machine code. Okay, JVM is responsible to convert this bytecode into a machine code and give me an output, right? This is what the Java execution steps, right? So once we write a source code in Java code, first step, it required a compilation. So who done this compilation? This compilation done by a compiler. Okay, this translation done by a compiler. So what is the first task of compiler? Before compilation, compiler first check the source code. First compiler check the source code, right? If any syntax error in your source code, then this code will not compiled by the compiler, right? Because compiler compiled a code page wise. Page wise means there is no single error must be there. There is no single error compiler not required at your line, at your source code. There is no single error if there is there, then this source code will not compiled into a bytecode. So compiler always check each and every line. If it find any single error, it will not converted this source code into a bytecode. This is called page wise compilation. Right, so but when this bytecode converted into a machine code, it is a line by line translation. It is a line by line translation, right? So JVM, when JVM converted this bytecode into a machine code, it will check lines. Okay, if first line is okay, converts into a machine code, display an output. If second line is okay, convert this machine code and display an output, right? So what is the major difference between compiler and interpreter? Okay, there are two types of translators are there, compiler and second one is interpreter, right? So first difference is what? Compiler translate page wise, interpreter translate line wise. Okay, translate means again the same means the same process, like convert one code into another code, right? So compiler once translate one code into another code, it is a page wise translation. When interpreter translate, it is a line wise translation. Second, when compiler translates any code, it always creates a file. It always creates a file, and in that file, the converted code is saved. Like in C, the file is .obj. In the case of Java, file is .class file. Always remember, when compiler translates any code, it always stored the converted code in a file, which is, in the case of C and C++, it is .obj file. In the case of Java, it is .class file. So see, this is what the characteristics of compiler. It is a page wise compilation. It is line by line compilation. It always creates a file. It never creates a file. It never creates file, right? Once interpreter translate any code, it never creates a file, right? Now see this. Now see the execution, right? Here, when you provided this source code to a compiler, okay, this complete source code converted into a bytecode, and it is a page wise translation. Like if there is a single line error, this code is not converted, right? So here the major role played by a compiler, but you know, just I told you, JVM translate your code line by line. JVM translate a code line by line, and there is no file create once JVM translate this code. So which characteristics is applicable on this JVM? Like JVM follows the characteristics of compiler, or JVM follow the characteristics of interpreter? See these characteristics which features, you can say that, okay, see the features like JVM, follow which feature, like it follows the feature of interpreter or it follows the feature of compiler. It is a page-wise translation or it is a line-by translation? It is a line-by translation. Will JVM create any file after translation? No, JVM will not create, because just I told you that Java creates only two files. One is .java file and second is .class file. So if JVM follows the characteristics of interpreter, that's why the reason we say that JVM is an interpreter of Java. Okay, this JVM is an interpreter. Okay, so this is again an important question of interview. Which is an interpreter of Java? So JVM is an interpreter of Java. Got my point? So Java use both compiler as well as interpreter. First step Java uses compiler, and in second step Java uses interpreter. So again, this is the most important interview question. Which is an interpreter of Java? JVM is an interpreter of Java, because JVM follow the characteristics of interpreter. Okay, and that's the reason. See, you know, when error checking is possible, see, this is the most important concept you must understand. Okay, when error checking is possible, when language translate their code, right? In C and C++, we'll check the compile time error. In C and C++, it is possible that we check the compile time error. Okay, but you know, there are a lot of error occur at runtime only, right? Runtime also, you know, once a code is follow the step, there are two types of environments are there. A conversion of a source code into a byte code. This one is called compile time environment. Compile time environment, right? And conversion of a byte code into a machine code and display an output. This is called runtime environment. Every language is having two types of environment: compile time environment as well as runtime environment. Please try to listen this concept very carefully. These are very important interview questions, right? What do you mean by compile time environment? What is runtime environment? Okay, so in the case of Java, conversion of a source code into a byte code, that is a compile time environment. And conversion of a byte code into a machine code, that is called runtime environment. I hope you understood. Okay, so see, okay, I'll show you in C and C++ also. In C and C++, a conversion of a source code into a machine code is a compile time environment. Okay, and then when machine code is run, okay, this is called runtime environment. Okay, so every language is having a two type of environment: compile time environment as well as runtime environment. Okay, now let me show you the most important concept. Like, you know, when error is checked by a language, when code is translated. In C, code translation done only one time. At which time? It is a compile time translation or it is a runtime translation? In C language, what do you think? It is a compile time translation or it is a runtime translation? Type it fast, quickly type it. In C, code translation is done at compilation time or runtime? Yes, definitely in C and C++, code translation done at compilation time. So if code translation done at compilation time, error checking is only possible at compilation time. And that's why the reason we say that in C, only compile time error checking is possible, runtime error checking is not possible. There is no code translation at runtime. And error checking is only possible when code is translated. So that's why the reason we say that in C, we are able to check compile time error, but we are not able to check runtime error. If someone of you have any knowledge of C and C++, can you please tell me, suppose if I declare an array of size 5, will it be possible that we enter more than 5 element in this array? Like in C and C++, suppose my array size is 5. If you have a knowledge of C and C++, so the question is only for those people. Okay, if you don't have any knowledge, okay, avoid this. It is not required, okay. But if suppose you have a knowledge, so my question is what? If I declare an array whose initial size is 5, so will it be possible I enter 50 element in this array? Yes or no? In C and C++? What do you think? No. Try to run this code in your machine, right? Declare this array, okay, and enter 10 elements. Okay, apply this loop and try to enter 10 element, scanf %d, ampersand a of I. Okay, your array size is 5. Your loop executed 10 times. Your program will not show any error. It receives 10 element. Okay, it receives 10 element because this is a runtime error. This is called out of index. Out of index means when array cross its limit. In C, it is not possible that you are able to check it like array cross it, because C will not check any error at runtime. So in C, if you declare an array of size 5, you are easily enter 10 element in this array. That is the different scenario. Like initial 5 element, it is stored in this array, and next 5 element, it is stored in any garbage location. But it will not show any error, because in C, it is not possible that we check this error, because it's a runtime error. It's a runtime error, okay. And in C, runtime error checking is not possible, because you know the error which occur at runtime, it is called an exception. It is called an exception. The error which occur at runtime is called an exception. So in C, we are not able to handle exception. We are able to handle error. Okay, you know the difference between error and exception. Error word we use when we are talking about compile time error. Syntax error. Compile time error is a syntax error. So that's why it is called syntax error, because it occur at compilation time. So error which occur at compilation time is called a syntax error. And the error which occur at runtime is called an exception. So this is an exception. But C is not capable to handle this exception, because in C, it is not possible that we check error at runtime. But in Java, why in C it is not possible? Because there is no code translation at runtime. A language checked an error at the time of translation, right? So in C, translation done at only one time. So it is possible in C that we are able to check the syntax error, but we are not able to check the error at runtime. Got my point, right? But in Java, code translation done twice. See this one? In Java, code translation is done twice. Like at compilation time, we are also able to check the error, and even runtime, we are also able to check the error, right? So in Java, it is possible that in Java, if you declare the same array, like suppose if you declare an array in Java with the 5 size, okay, no doubt syntax is different. And if you're trying to access more than 5 element, okay, definitely it shows an error, because in Java, runtime error checking is possible, because code translation done 2 times. So in Java, we are able to check syntax error also, and in Java, we are able to check runtime error also. So we say that Java is an language whose actually is provided exception handling concept. Got my point? So see, this is what exactly the concept. Okay, like when Java program is execute, first it compiles, so all the syntaxes error checked at compilation time, and all the error which occur at runtime checked at this time when this code is translation, right? Because it's a line by line translation. So once you write a Java program, suppose this is a 50 line of Java program. I'm not going to write any code. Okay, suppose this is the 50 line of Java program, and there is no syntax error. There is no syntax error in this 50 line. So your complete 50 line converted into a byte code. Okay, because compiler not find any syntax error in this code. So it converted this complete code into a byte code, and it creates a .class file without any doubt, right? But once this byte code provided to JVM, once you provide this byte code to JVM, you know what JVM will do? JVM will actually check this error line by line. line by line, line by line, line by line, right? And suppose JVM finds runtime error at 11th number line. 11th number line, there is a runtime error. Okay, what this error? That will be the different scenario. Okay, see, there is no syntax error in this code. So definitely compiler converted this complete source code into a bytecode because it's a syntax error free code. But there is a runtime error in this code at 11th number line. So if this 11th number line is having a runtime error, which is an exception exactly, okay, so that your program display me an output of initial 10 line. Okay, don't count it. It may be 10 or 11. Okay, don't count it. Okay, so this 10 line output displayed by this JVM, but as runtime error occur in this 11 number line, no output displayed by this JVM because there is an exception occur at 11 number line. So next line code execution not done now. Your program just terminate this application from this 11th number line. Because it JVM finds an exception at 11th number line. So it's a line by line translation. Okay, first 10 line, no error, it display me an output, but as error is occur at 11th number line, output is stopped and program terminated. Got it? This is when exception handled by Java, right? So here Java supported, like if you, okay, so that I'll say, sir, there is no error in the next lines. Okay, so why program terminated? Okay, there is an error in 11 number line. Okay, so why you punish the next lines? Okay, this is the mistake of 11 number line and punishment that you will give to this next line, right? So why punishment give to this next line? Okay, mistake done by 11 number line, right? So here it is possible in Java that you handle this exception at runtime. Java supports this concept. So it is possible because this translation, please, this architecture concept. Once a Java source code converted into a bytecode, so all the syntaxes error you will check at that time, and it is possible in Java if there is an exception, you are easily handle this exception. Okay, so we say that in Java there is a support of exception handling. Okay, in C and C++, we don't have exception handling concept. In C, we don't have any exception handling concept, right? Because it is not possible in C. Like you check this error at runtime, you handle it. But in Java, it is possible that. So when I come to the Java features, okay, like in next session when I discuss the Java feature, one of the most important feature of Java is Java support exception handling. This is one of the most important feature of Java. I hope you understood, right? So this is what exactly the concept, like how we said it, Java is platform independent language. Okay, how this source code convert into a bytecode and JVM and machine code. Okay, so I hope now you have a clarity, right? Okay, don't get any confusion like, sir, where is the JRE architecture, where is the JVM architecture? Okay, I'll show you all the concept. Okay, just wait for some time, I'll show you all this concept. But this is an earlier, like in first step you need to know like what is the Java execution, how the Java program is execute. Okay, like what is source code, what is bytecode, okay, what is the task done by JVM, what is JVM, what is JRE, right? So JVM is a part of JRE. Okay, what is Java runtime environment? Okay, now see this one. Exactly, there are three concepts are there: JDK, JRE and JVM. Okay, it's a very most important question of interview. Okay, difference between JDK versus JRE versus JVM. So I'll cover this topic also in upcoming session. I'll show you like what is JDK, what is JRE. But there are a lot of things we need to discuss before this. JDK, JRE, JVM is no doubt, it's a very important, like what is the difference between JDK, Java Development Kit, Java Runtime Environment, Java Virtual Machine, okay. But before that, there are a lot of things we need to discuss, and then after I'll come to this point, okay. But you know, first concept of platform independency, now you're able to understood all this concept. I hope there is no doubt. Still, if you have any doubt, please type quickly, okay. So I'll first clear your doubt and then we'll move to the next part. Till now, if you have any doubt, okay, till now, like with this diagram, with any, you have any confusion, like, okay, like difference between compile and interpreted or a compile time environment, runtime environment, any type of doubt, if you have in your mind, type it. Okay, there is a one question like, sir, what is jar file? Okay, I'll cover this. Jar is a Java archive file. There are two types of file created by Java. Okay, jar file and var file. Okay, but that is an upcoming topic. Like jar is called Java archive file and var, web archive file. Okay, so what is Java archive file? What is web archive file? That is an upcoming topic. I'll explain about this also. Okay, it's a combination of bytecodes exactly, right? Means dot class file. You know, in Java architecture, exactly we say that a dot class file, there all the file is in the form of dot class, right? This all dot class file is stored in a package. Okay, packages are the collection of dot class file. Okay, I'll explain this concept when I'll come to the package topic. But okay, someone asked me, okay, sir, what is jar file? So all the dot class file actually member of a package, right? And there are a lot of packages. Okay, packages 1, packages 2, packages 3, right? So this second package also contain dot class file. This is again dot class file. Okay, so this package also contain dot class file, and collection of these packages exactly called jar file. This is a very brief definition of this jar file. Okay, it means like a beginner level definition. Okay, lot of things we need to discuss with this jar file, but it's a beginner level definition. Like classes in Java is a member of package, and collection of packages is a dot jar file, and even dot var file also, right? So Java creates two type of file. If it is a web-based application, then it will be a dot var file, web archive file, right? And if it is a desktop application, then it is a dot jar file. Okay, so I hope you have a clarity now. It's a dot class file, you can say in simple word. Yes, Vishika, it's also, it's a dot class file. It's a combination of dot class file, we say that. Exactly, multiple class files may be in package together is a jar file. Exactly the same concept I explained. Who converted source code to bytecode in Java? A source code converted into a bytecode by compiler. Just I explained you, right? Okay, source code converted by compiler. Okay, see this one. See this diagram. Okay, the source code converted into machine code by compiler. So compiler is the compiler is the software who is responsible to convert source code into a bytecode. Okay, this is not. Okay, this is the C++ execution. That's why it's a machine code. Okay, in Java, see this one. So source code compiled by compiler and it converted into a bytecode. So it's a responsibility of a compiler to convert source code into a bytecode. Okay, any another question? So if no doubts, let's move further. Okay, so see this, up to this time we discussed about the platform independency concept. Okay, why Java is a platform independent language, what is JVM, what is dot class file, what is bytecode. Okay, now tell me, like see, there is another interesting question comes in mind, sir. A platform independency, what platform independency we discussed, actually this is in the case of Java, right? But you know, the same team who developed Java, actually they started one another project before Java. Okay, James Gosselin, Patrick Norton, right? These are the people behind Java. Okay, the same people developed another project. Okay, they started a project in earlier 90s which was called Green Project, right? So you know what is this Green Project is? Green Project is some history of the language which we are going to understand. Okay, every language is having a history. So even Java is having a lot of history, like why Java is called a Java. Okay, there are a lot of names actually suggested at that time, right? Earlier days, the name was not Java. Okay, I'll explain. I'll come to this topic also. But the team of Java developer actually started Java secondary. Firstly, they started one Green Project. Actually, they need to develop a language. You know, even in last lecture, I told you this concept for remote application. for set-up box, for smart TV, right? For smart games, they need a language whose out means to run the output of this language, okay, operating system not required. So actually they want to develop a language which is easily used for like setup box of TV, okay, which is easily used for remote application, which is easily used for smart games, okay. For that type of application, for developing that type of an application, the language is required, and they started a project which is called a Green Project. So Green Project was exactly a project which is started by the developer to develop that language, okay. So that is not Java, okay, that was not Java exactly, that was a different language, right? But once this Green Project got success, so the same team actually taken a responsibility to develop a Java also, because they know what exactly the platform independency concept. So task given to the same team, right? So now when Java came in the market in 1995, okay, the language came in the market with the name called Oak. You know, Oak actually a tree in USA, like oak is a tree, not in USA, everywhere, okay. So Oak is a name of a tree. So in earlier days they have given this language name was Oak. Okay, but you know, there was some problem occur with this name because this name already registered by some another company. So now they need to change this name. Okay, the name change is required, okay, because this is a already registered name, right? So they have not authority to use the same name, okay. So now there are a lot of suggestions came, like what is the new name of this language, because this is what exactly is Java. Oak, earlier name was Oak was Java, right? Java was Oak exactly, right? So there are a lot of name suggestions like DNA, okay, then someone says, okay, Silk is one of the names suggested, okay, like Revolution is one of the names suggested, like lot of name suggestions are there. But then one name came in the market called Java. So you know what exactly the name meaning, what is Java exactly, and why people like this name? You know, Java is exactly, okay, how many of you know what exactly the meaning of Java? Type it fast. How many of you know what exactly the meaning of Java? Exactly, Java is the name of coffee in Indonesia. There was a famous island in Indonesia. Okay, the name of this island is Java Island, and that Java Island is actually famous for coffee. So Java is one of the flavor of coffee in Indonesia. Okay, Java is exactly a beans, coffee beans, okay, and that name came, actually that name used in Indonesia, right? So Indonesia, again there is an island called Java Island. So exactly the meaning of Java is coffee. And exactly, you know why this name suggested and why this name liked by these people? Because this all people like Java, coffee so much, okay, they use coffee so much, okay, they like to drink coffee so much, right? So they use this language because you know coffee is something related with freshness also, right? So they use small name is there, interesting name is there, okay. So exactly the meaning of Java is coffee. In Indonesia, Java means coffee. It is one of the flavor, like, okay, there are a lot of flavor in India we have, okay. So Java is also one of the flavor. Okay, so like if you go to Starbucks, okay, suppose if you visit Starbucks, in Starbucks there are a lot of flavors are available. Among that flavor, one flavor is also Java. The name of coffee was exactly you'll find there, right, in Starbucks. Okay, so Java is the name of coffee. So in 1995 they used this name and they replaced this oak with the name called Java. Okay, so history says that Java came in the market in 1995. Earlier name of Java is Oak. Before this, they started a project which was a Green Project, but Green Project exactly a different scenario, right? Green Project they used for set-up boxes. Green Project they uses for remote application, and then the same team developed Java in 1995. And you know the symbol of Java is a cup of coffee. The Java symbol is a coffee cup, okay. So this is what exactly language came in the market, platform independent language, okay. And then after from 1995 to till 2025, Java has changed so many times. In earlier days, Java came with the first version, which is JDK. Okay, JDK 1.0, and currently we have 24.0. 24.0. Okay, so 1.0 to 24.0 Java traveled so many years, right? Java is providing so many changes, right? Because once language got success, so people want, the expectation of people is increased, right? So that Java people realize, and then they start adding concepts in Java. They start adding new concepts in Java, right? So now Java is having 24.0 edition, but they started with 1.0. Okay, so now, sir, what exactly the meaning of this JDK? Definitely this this question comes in mind, sir. What is the difference between JDK, JRE and JVM? Okay, what is the architecture of this JRE and JVM in this case, right? So, till now we discussed the platform independency concept. Till now we discussed some of the history of Java, right? Okay, every language is having a history. Like, how many of you know Python is called, why Python is called a Python? Okay, I'll come to this topic, don't worry about this. Okay, what is JDK, JRE and JVM, the architecture of JDK, JRE and JVM. But what is the history of Python? Anyone is having any idea why Python is called a Python? Actually, Python is the name of one of the famous TV serial show was there, right? So Python came in the market in 2007, right? Means 1989 was the year, right? So that time exactly one of the famous TV serial show was there, Monty Python Circus. Monty Python Circus. Okay, so that Monty Python Circus was one of the favorite TV serial show of that person who developed Python, right? So with the name of that TV serial show, they given the name like Python. So Python called Python, Java is called Java, okay? And lot of like, why C is called C language? Because there is a scenario like before C, B came in the market, before B, there are a lot of like A language came in the market, okay? So see, every language is having a history. The name, very interesting concept you find when they given the name to a language, like why Java is called a Java. There is no specific reason. Why Python is called Python, there is no specific reason. Like why Django is called Django. Django is, Django is one of the instrument. So with the name of this instrument, they have given the name called Django. Okay, in Java there is a technology called Spring. Spring, okay. So even the history behind this is Spring. Why this name is, this technology is called Spring. There is a concept like big data. Okay, so what is why the name given big data? Hadoop. Okay, Hadoop means actually elephant. Hadoop means something elephant, right? So actually symbol of Hadoop is again an elephant. The symbol of Spring is a leaf. Okay, so definitely there is some history behind all this. I'll cover this because the Spring is related with the Java. Okay, so every language is having their own history. Every technology is having their own history. So like Java is also having the history, like okay, why Java is called Java. Okay, so I hope till now you understood all this concept, which is the concept related with what is Java, because we started with why Java concept. Okay, we started like why Java. Okay, then we covered like what is Java. From last 3 lecture actually I explained what is Java. Java is a platform independent, open source, object oriented, platform independent language. Okay, so why is clear, what is clear, and now the next and the most important concept, how to work with Java. Okay, how to start Java. Okay, so W and H. I always told you that before starting any language, first you have to clear like why there is a need of this language. Okay, what is this language is and how to start, how to work with this. Like, so now the next is how to do programming in Java, and that time you are able to understand like what is JRE, what is JVM, what is JDK, because you know, once I start the architecture of JRE, once I'll start the architecture of JVM, there are a lot of technical words are there. Class loader is there, heap memory is there, stack memory is there. Okay, there are a lot of technical word now I'm going to use after this. Okay, so that's the reason you have to understand, like now we are starting to work with Java. Now we are starting the coding part of Java, so that now my next and upcoming session will be the complete technical session. It is complete technical because now we'll use the technical words. Okay, so that is what the journey of Java. We'll start the journey of Java, like how to install Java. Okay, once you install the Java, then how JVM, JRE and JDK installed in your machine. Okay, I'll show you all this concept even practically also. So now onwards, whatever the topic I'm going to explain you, that is both practical as well as theoretical. We cover all the topic theoretically and then some of the topic even practically also, right? When we'll require practical session, I'll definitely do the coding in system and I'll show it. Okay, so how to install Java. Once Java is installed, then how it is a open source language, because you know, once you install Java, there is a folder installed with this Java installation SRC folder, and this SRC folder contained complete source code of Java. Okay, like JVM, what is JVM, what is JRE, that all things you will be able to understand once you install Java in your machine, and then only it is possible that you are able to understand the architecture of Java. So I'll start all this technical concept from my next session. So I hope till now you understood all the concept, like theoretical part is covered now, right? No doubt one most important theoretical part is there, like difference between JRE, JDK and JVM, architecture of JRE and JVM, but it is completely a technical concept. So I'll explain this once I install Java in your machine. Okay, once I install Java, and then I'll explain you about this all JRE, JDK and JVM concept. So I hope till now you understood all the concept. Still, if you have any doubt, type it fast, so I'll cover all your doubts. I'll cover all your questions. Okay. Yes, definitely we'll cover Spring also. This is exactly a topic of corporate Java. You know, in earlier lecture I told you, like Java is divided into three parts: core Java, then advanced Java, and then corporate Java. So first step you need to complete core Java concept. Then in second step you need to complete advanced Java, and in this third step the framework will be there, like Spring, Spring Boot, okay, Hibernate. So Spring is not used because most of the people now shifted into Spring Boot. So we'll start Spring Boot, and then with Spring Boot, Hibernate is there, but this is the third step of Java, right? So definitely we'll cover Spring also. Don't worry. Okay, any technical questions you have, so that please ask me. If you have any technical question like related with this what we discussed, okay, so if any doubt you have related with this, so okay, if you don't have any doubt, so you can mail me or you can WhatsApp me, no issues on that. Okay, so I hope you enjoy this. So I'll catch you in the next lecture, and then we'll discuss the technical concept, like how to start working with Java, right? So what and why, I covered all this concept. Okay, so how to start Java, how to start working, and believe me, it is one of the fantastic journey, because Java is the most fabulous language according to me. Okay, so how to write the Java code. Okay, I'll start from scratch itself. For me, you are a fresher. I told you that there is no prior knowledge required of any of the language. Okay, I'll start from scratch. Okay, so don't worry about this. I'll catch you in the next lecture, and then we'll discuss. Till then, tata, bye bye, good night.